And I talk a bit about what's really progressive and are we doing our duty. Is there a duty towards us as women that's being fulfilled in the progressive community? I mean, how about, can we, Nicole, you and I were talking a little bit about the gender divide on the phone earlier today, and the gender divide in the progressive community, which is kind of a little bit of a taboo subject to talk about publicly because it's sort of like revealing a skeleton in the closet. But it's there. It exists.
Well, yeah. I'll go for it. I'll start. Yeah. I've been trying to analyze the phenomena of why do the Republicans elect women and the Democrats do not. And it feels like we are always on the defensive as Democrats or progressives. And so we always say, well, we have to put the best candidate forward. So we put the best candidate forward, which is usually a male who's been culled and nurtured and, quote, pampered along the way in order to get in that position. And then once they get in that position, they move around the stepping stones of office. And none of them, I could name many names in this town, never want to get out of the way to let the next woman come in to start running for office. So, and the Republicans will continue to do this as a strategy. They will continue to put women and people of color in office in order to take our agenda items again and make them their own and use them against us. And we see that from Condoleezza Rice to the cabinet to, unfortunately some of the women that have been elected, put in position by Newsom's cabinet are not strong progressives. They're kind of window dressing, which is what we're seeing. But it's the responsibility of people of privilege and power to, on occasion, get out of the way. It's called affirmative action. Get out of the way and let somebody else come into into the playing field, and that we need to support women who run.
Yeah, and I think, we have right now what's going to happen, for the first time since district elections, is there's going to be a huge turnover. And we're going to have several open seats, and with the exception of Ross McCreamy, who's likely, to be reelected and should be reelected, we're going to have all of the other seats are going to be open, all the odd number board of supervisors. I guess Sean Ellsburn won't be, but, we've got District 1, 3, 9, and 11, all open seats. And, we as progressives need to be talking now about making sure that there are women running for these seats. And we can't just accept the fact that, okay, well, maybe next time. And there's wonderful, qualified men who represent the values, but we have to be part of changing the systemic problem. And if we don't do something about it now, it's going to continue to happen, and it has continued to happen. It's happened for centuries of, oppression against women. And so I think it's really up to us as a community to say we're not going to call for that. And in order for us to be actively involved in the next election, we've got to have strong women candidates.
And if anybody wants to make any suggestions about who those women candidates are, you can call at 621-4472. We'd love to hear your suggestions.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that I'd like to add in terms of, the piece of shifting power that is shifting who is in power, is that we really need to work, like Nicole was saying, on preparing candidates and running candidates and training candidates. And part of what we do at the League of Young Voters is really really trying to start cultivating young people of color, young women of color, young low-income women who have deep connections and therefore accountability to communities who are not represented currently by elected officials, and also have visions of social justice and are smart and relevant and can engage communities who don't usually participate because they don't have, so much. Just imagine who would vote, who currently doesn't vote, and who would participate in campaigns if it was people from their neighborhoods who they trusted and believed in and knew would represent their interests and their needs, in City Hall or in Sacramento. People don't participate because there aren't people that they feel excited about and trust, and our issues aren't being spoken to. That's why most young people don't vote. And just imagine what it would be if we had people like us, people from our communities running. Of course we would get behind them, and I think we saw with Jane Kim's campaign especially, and Chris Daly's, but Jane Kim works in a community-based organization and has for a long time. She had tons, probably over 100 young people of color from Chinatown and other parts of the city working on her campaign, and that is exceptional and extraordinary, and that's what happened, and she won. You know, it's not like just, oh, it's a nice picture. It's, no, you win when you have really wide support, especially from communities who don't usually participate and have been shut out.
Well, and I also want to point out, Jane ran once and she lost, and she ran again and she won. So I would encourage, I'm really hoping that Emily Drennan runs again for BART Board. Kim Knox, she is a tireless worker, and I hope she keeps going to the school board and keeps monitoring the school board the way that she's been doing.